You knew that there were sightings. You knew that there were new findings. If you'd been around the president long enough, you could just judge by his expressions what he was reading and what interested him. I mean, it's just something you knew from being around him. I would say that probably that was among his highest of interest at that time. Yes, indeed. It happened quite frequently. And I wouldn't dare say how many times, but it happened frequently. What happened was not one particular agency could handle dealing with the entire subject matter, dealing from the engineering portion to citing information to reporting it into Blue Book. The whole process of dealing with the UFO phenomenon could not be handled anymore by one agency. And so in order to keep it alive, and I guess as cheaply as possible, it was given to various and sundry parts of the government to work on. And I guess they thought that they could also keep the intelligence factor as secret as possible by giving little agencies a little bit here and a little bit there, and that oftentimes is done with matters like this. But what happened was Eisenhower got sold out. Without him knowing it, he lost control of what was going on with the entire UFO situation. But I think he was telling us the military-industrial complex will stick you in the back if you are not totally vigilant. And I think he felt like he had not been vigilant. I think he felt like he trusted too many people. And Eisenhower was a trusting man. He was a good man. And I think that he realized that all of a sudden this matter is going into the control of corporations that could very well be used in detriment to this country.
We have been.
Good morning. Let's finish. Let's finish Eisenhower.
Compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government.
I think the frustration, from what I can remember, went on for months.
I'm tricking people today. This is what's happening. I don't care. Today I am talking about some fun stuff. I know the free world's talking about the speech of, what was it, what is that called? State of the Imperial Empire. I don't want to talk about that. I don't care nothing about that. But I do. I'm more interested in what they're lying about, what I'm not supposed to be talking about, where I'm not supposed to be looking. Usually it's my weekend thing that I have fun. We'll talk about some military industrial complex, alien UFO crazy stuff. But everybody's looking at the moon. Everybody's looking at the moon because of the solar eclipse. Y'all know what the solar eclipse was? That was the sign that whatever put all of this stuff here. The sign that it left us, where it took a moon and put a moon in a particular orbit so that just when the species comes to a point where it can have space travel and understand that the moon couldn't possibly be where it's at, do what it does, face where it is, and just make the noises that it does when things crash into it like satellites, that species would know, damn it, dummy, look, you're not alone. And even if we didn't put you there, what if they weren't genetic engineers? What if our Big Bang Theory friends are right? You know, they weren't genetic engineers. Maybe they didn't make us. I don't know. Maybe it's God. I don't know. Maybe they lied about a God. I have my own faith. I really don't care what other people believe, but I find it interesting and delicious and fun. And someone asked me the other day, they said, was the moon landing faked? I No, I wasn't there. I didn't get on the UFO. Nobody called me. They didn't put me on the spaceship. I wasn't in the studio. So whatever it was, I have no idea. I don't care. I honestly don't care. Let me tell you what I care about. They're lying. That's it. All I care about is that they're lying. And it was funny. I wish I could find it. Somebody posted, I don't know if y'all saw it, it's about a week ago. They had the flat earthers put out a video where it showed all the lies of NASA, or a lot of the lies, not all of them. That's millions of them. You can't possibly catalog all the millions of times they lied to us and the pictures they faked. But like the fake things with the, like even the International Space Station, anytime something comes and starts flying around, doing something it's not supposed to do, they turn the video off, it goes blue screen. There are hundreds of those all over the internet where you can see something comes into view and then quickly they shut the camera off. So they did that, and they showed like how the astronauts bouncing around in the space station, how it's not possible and how gravity works. I thought it was an interesting video. It was interesting. To me, it doesn't mean that the Earth is flat. And because they faked a lot of the moon pictures, it doesn't necessarily mean that we didn't go to the moon. I have my 2 cents. I don't think that we went to the moon in the thing that they showed us, the thing with the the computing power of less than what we have of a calculator, or a calculator back in the 80s. No, I don't believe that. I believe that they lie about a lot. I think they lie about pretty much everything we believe. But so I'm not going to go there. So everybody's looking at the moon because of the lunar eclipse. To me, because I like math, I know that it is mathematically impossible that the moon is actually where it's at. And what do I mean by impossible? There's a 0.0000000, I don't have time to say how many zeros there are, that the moon is actually where it is at the time that a species evolved space travel. It's not possible. Couldn't happen, won't happen, never did happen, because something encouraged it, whether it dragged it here from somewhere else, which is why it's got, what has it got all over it? What's all over the moon? There are 2 elements on the moon that aren't supposed to be there. They're unnatural and they were made. I forgot what it was. We used to talk about that. There's another video I was talking about that. But you can find it. I'll post a link if you want to see. But there are two elements that are there that are not base elements. They actually were manufactured. They've only been known to be manufactured. And as well as there's a lot of titanium. 10 times the titanium all over the moon than you'll find anywhere on Earth. And it always beckons the question, where did all that titanium come from? Well, if you talk to your flat earther friends, they'll tell you that it's because the moon is hollow. I kind of think it might be hollow, but more so it's evidence that the moon is, because it's not made of the elements the Earth is in the percentages the Earth is, it could not have been there for the majority of its existence. So it had to come from somewhere else. It had to come from an area where titanium was significantly more abundant than it is here. So I love this picture of the moon, and I love how all this links together. I appreciated the talk. That was Brigadier General Stephen Lufkin. People don't, unless you publish something by professionals who work on the stuff, people don't believe you. Unless you know that the presidents they actually cared more about UFOs than the mainstream media today. I don't know why, but the mainstream, they start to talk about it. But if you go back and you look at all the presidents' interest in the UFO, even Clinton, when he didn't love no slavery, when he didn't want to put out the police state, he was all into the UFOs. Even his wife said something about it too. But all the presidents going back, Reagan was a big time UFO guy, Eisenhower. And so why is it that the leaders of the biggest country in the world with the biggest military is always interested in UFOs? I think it was what the Brigadier General was just talking about. And I'll post it in the comments. I'll post his video, his testimony in the comments. This was another testimony by the Stephen Greer group. I'm not calling them that. They were the Disclosure Project, the Sirius Project, if you guys are following. Only one I've really paid much attention to, because there's so many lies out there, so much misinformation, there's so many extremities on there. Oh, aliens couldn't exist, and I know because I've been here 1 billion years, and oh, aliens do exist, and I'm an alien, my brother's an alien. We get together, we play with each other antennas, you know. Hey, and it could be true. All y'all could be right. I don't know. I like to just look at evidence, and I like to listen to my commenters, right? So when my commenters start talking about like brigadier generals, and I posted 2 videos by the astronauts, what was it, Gordon Cooper and Edgar Mitchell, who actually went to space. Let's just do the testimonial thing, right? So me, little black man, because y'all like to call me black. I think I'm just a human being, but that's fine. With the bald head, I ain't never been to space. I ain't never been to space. So I'm not going to tell Edgar Mitchell, I'm not going to tell Gordon Cooper, who are astronauts, worldwide heroes, went to the moon. I'm not going to tell them what they saw because I've never been there. See, it's like, so for me, it's an evidence thing. If people who've been there saying, hey, it's a problem, they're lying to you. It's a lot more going on in the world than what they're telling you. And then you got the brigadier general coming out saying, listen, this is the reason why. The reason why is because they're trying to bring this technology into production within the military. And he kind of explained why Eisenhower was interested in UFOs. I'll post the whole testimony. I just posted part of it. It's because of the military-industrial complex, which leads up to this Eisenhower speech, which nobody understood at the time, right? At the time, they're like, what the hell is Eisenhower? Is he smoking something? What? What is he talking about? Military-industrial complex. It was a coded speech, the same speech basically Kennedy gave. But but they say these things and we don't understand them because we're too lost in all the secrecy and we don't have any real details. But in time, when that information comes out, as these brigadier generals and the sergeants and the military workers, the CIA, the FBI, all these whistleblowers are starting to come out. Edward Snowden and all of them, and they're starting to tell you that all of this is some lies. You're supposed to connect the dots, right? Y'all remember when we were kids, and some of y'all do it now. Got the coloring book, you connect the dots, You're supposed to connect the dots, y'all. It's important to connect the dots. And the main reason why for me is because look at behind me. This is a colorful picture of the moon. What y'all see up there? Y'all see anything up there? Y'all see all the pretty colors? You ever wonder why all the moon pictures are always gray and dull and didn't look like anything was on it? Mars pictures are gray or red and just orange, doesn't look like, because it makes it uninteresting. You don't want to go there. If you understand that colonization is the only problem on the planet Earth, it begun everywhere. Well, that's not true. Greed came before that in monetary systems and then coins. Colonization came next. Why? Because of all that colorful stuff behind me. The moon is full of it too. It's called minerals, resources, natural resources. That's what they want. And the important thing for me is whether you're on extreme side A, extreme side B, it all exists, don't exist, none of that matters. What matters is the truth. We need to know what's really going on. Like I always say, government can't have any secrecy. Because if they got all these minerals on the moon, why are we murdering people down here? Think about that. If almost every war is all about resources and minerals and taking what somebody else has because they live on top of some minerals and around some natural resources, and the moon is full of it, y'all need to go to the moon and get it. Stop killing people down here. Stop invading and colonizing. Nobody's up there. Unless somebody's up there. There was a good documentary. What was that documentary called? One of my friends had posted. It was called Somebody Else Was on the Moon. It was talking about we went to the moon and they told us, you can't stay here. We here. We are not pagans. You cannot kill us. You're not going to murder us. We are here on the moon and we will show. We don't have spears. We got laser guns. I don't know how true that is. I don't. But if you really listen to what these professionals are talking about, with Dr. Stephen Greer and the Disclosure Project and them whistleblowing, we probably should listen up, because if the technology exists, got a few pitches. If the technology exists wherein we actually don't have to utilize big oil, that we don't have to agree with all the lies that they come up with, national security and you know, how energy is attached to national security, which is why they delay the development of solar panels and anything in the direction of free energy, because they feel it'll destabilize an economy. If we take away their excuse to be able to do that, and we like highlight the fact that they got all of these things flying around that are based on technologies and what is it called, electromagnetic drives. If we actually don't force them to tell the truth about that, if we don't force the release of that classified information without redaction, that that they're going to continue to make excuses to go around the planet and murdering people. And so for me, like I said, I don't care. Well, I do care about aliens. I won't go there. I do care about aliens. I do, only because as a kid, I was exposed to some things I should not have been exposed to. My father worked at the Pentagon. Actually, but the brigadier general, he was just talking about Fort Belvoir. My father worked at Fort Belvoir. And he didn't tell me a damn thing. He didn't say nothing. He wanted to keep me stupid. But his friends told me things that they probably shouldn't have told me, which is why I believe, and I have friends who work on some of these ridiculous technologies. And a lot of the aircraft I'm showing you here, these aren't supposedly based on the electromagnetic drives, but they're still based on high technology. Like one of the technologies I was exposed to as a kid, and this is one of the reasons I question a lot of this, right? As a kid, so y'all know me, you've heard the story before. So I went to my father's job. He worked for a satellite company, and they worked on optics. And I remember it was our time to go sit at the terminal and get our Snoopy printout. But before we got our little Snoopy printout from a dot matrix printer, y'all remember those guys, they'd pull up, they'd ask us our address, and they would pull up our house. And they would show us a picture of our house. And what I remember as a kid seeing is I remember seeing my bike in the driveway. And this had to be early 80s. Early 80s, I actually could see my bike in the driveway. And my real question for you is, if you go on Google Earth, can you make out what type of bike is sitting in the driveway at your house? No, you can't. You can probably make out, this is my wife's car, this is my car, but you can't make out the details. So what I'm trying to tell you is that they're always minimum 30 to 40 years ahead of us in military technology than what we are in the common world. And you start to think about outside of free energy, outside of having equipment and aircraft that can do things that can produce energy a lot more efficient than what oil can, and getting us out of these old cars that are just made right after the caveman made the wheel, that run on gas and destroying the whole world for it, is to utilize that more of that technology for us. So think about the optics side of it. Remember, we were looking at the company that's making those drones that actually replace lifeguards, right? Jobs ain't coming back, by the way, just in case I didn't say it this week. Jobs ain't coming back. Automation got that. They got it down pat. So, but there's a drone that actually lifeguards use, which they can fly up and go out, and if someone's, you know, struggling in the water, they can drop life preservers, right? So think about that in terms of optics. First of all, they're lying about what they're showing you on the moon. They're lying about what they show you on Pluto, Mars, and every planet. Because if you think they make a $2 billion satellite and they send it up with a camera that is significantly worse technology, the technology not even anywhere near as good as the technology Google has when it looks at your house, or as what I saw back in the 80s, then they're not showing you the actual camera pictures that they're basically sending up these $2 billion satellites, and they're putting like a Polaroid camera on there too. And that's our camera. Now, mind you, we paid for the whole satellite. We paid for the whole kit caboodle, nuts and bolts and all of it. Our tax dollars pay for all of it. The human beings around the world who they invade with their imperialism and their colonization for minerals, it paid for all of it. But they only show us the Polaroid pictures where the pixel you look at, it's like 100 square meters, so you can't actually make out what you're looking at. But think about what that technology could be used for, just optics alone. You know, if we actually knew as a civilization the high technology that is used to murder people and do stuff in space that they don't tell us about, you could actually use that to look down at the planet and say someone were drowning. You could develop software that looks at the beaches, the most highly populated beaches. And anytime you see splashing that's a little bit out of control, it actually could activate software. It could activate a drone. It could send a drone out and drop a life preserver in an automated fashion. We could be saving human life for all of this technology that they're always hiding from us instead of using it to create tanks, to carry tanks and go murder people, right? So for me, the whole alien, UFO, all of that, I find it interesting because people lie to you, you want to know why. But the moon, and what we're doing, it's all related to energy, right? It's all related to keeping the world locked into the resources that all these wars are being fought for. This is the anti-war conversation that we're having. It looks like we're talking about UFOs and aliens. We're not. We're actually talking about releasing the technology that they have in the highest echelons of all government, from America to Russia to India to China to the UK. All these governments utilize and they collude, not because I say so, not because little brown man says so, because the Brigadier General just told you. Every time I do one of these videos, I always put forward a professional who's worked on that technology, because it's important as a commoner, which I am. I'm a commoner. It's important for me to listen to other commoners more than I listen to the 1% or the 1%'s government, right? Usually with me, if the government says it's not true, that means it is true. If the government said Bigfoot ain't real, Bigfoot real. Bigfoot real. Don't go in the woods. But the government say Loch Ness ain't real, Loch Ness is real, swimming around, it eats you. And when they come out and say UFOs aren't real, they're real. They're very real. And it probably means they have a whole bunch of them. They reverse engineer them. They're flying them all around because they're up there getting minerals or whatever. And they're waiting until we get to a point where they're 100 years ahead of us before they let us know the actual technology they have. So they keep people down here murdering each other, the 99%, in planned obsolescence. We're running out of minerals. We got to go fight. Your lifestyle, the price of bread is going to go up. If we don't go invade Afghanistan, people going to die. And it's always a lie. So on the cusp of the lunar eclipse, I felt it was okay to talk about this, if I'm allowed to do so, that everybody's looking at this lunar eclipse. And give you an example. I like examples. I like plants. I grow plants. So if I were a plant sitting underneath a grow light, and I look up at this grow light in your house, in your green room, wherever I'm at, and after a while, I would evolve to a place where I would say, you know what? Something ain't right. I'm smart enough now to know that light that's shining down on me, that's not the light that's been shining down on me ever since I evolved. I need multiple spectrums. If you know anything about grow lights, grow lights, they only have minimal spectrums. They don't give the spectrum of the sun. So I would sit here and if I were a smart plant, if I weren't a dumb plant, I'd look up and say, you know what, this math ain't adding up. If I evolved under multiple spectrums in an intensity that's not coming from that damn grow light, something funky with that grow light. Every now and then I see this brown bald head walk in this room and it always pushing stuff around. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm not sure that this is right. I'm not sure this is real because we're in an artificial world and they're always lying to us. And it's time that we evolved enough technology to know the world isn't adding up, to know that our governments are always lying to us about what they have and what they're doing. And you got all these whistleblowers who are coming out, which I'll add, the majority of whistleblowers, they don't talk about the NSA. They don't talk about the CIA. The majority of whistleblowers don't talk about all the wars we do and conflict minerals and why we invade all these nations. The majority of whistleblowers are all talking about space. But you wouldn't know that if you watch television, you watch the mainstream news, you wouldn't know that. This is why I want y'all to follow Dr. Stephen Greer and the Disclosure Project, because they're actually talking about, they're commoners who are talking about things that our kids need to be focused on. So a lot of good things. I was going to go to, so the moon, back to the moon. So why we even have this solar eclipse? First of all, the moon can't be where it is. The moon it can't be where it is. And the fact that it's there at this point in evolution makes no sense whatsoever. So it's artificial. The flat earthers would tell you that it's hollow. I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about the details. I know that there's evidence pointing in that direction. But what's more important is if they don't release pictures of the moon that are actually better than Polaroid quality pictures, it means they don't want you to see something. And the thing I'd ask you to think about is, what is it that they don't want you to see? I have a friend who actually worked for NASA who saw things she wasn't supposed to see. Sister Donna. Every now and then she'll pop around, you'll see her. So for me, it's not a debate. I kind of listen to her and all the other testimonials. Like there's the brother that talks about how there's structures all over the moon. Ancient structures look like they decayed and fallen apart, and that something else has already been there. You know, you take that and you corroborate it with the other testimonials of the first flight over the moon when, was it Buzz Aldrin? Correct me if I'm wrong, but he said, he was the one who said, looking down at the moon, he said, it looks like cities. We just see cities. Looks like cities. Add that to Socrates, and who was before Socrates? Was it Plato? Who both came back and said, Atlanteans exist. And they have flying craft. They're flying all over the place. Vmon, you know, flying all, they weren't Vmoners, but flying all over the place. High technology. Add that to what we see in Chichen Itza and some of the sites around the world. Don't even know who built the pyramid and the Sphinx. We know high technology existed in the past. Add that to the Indians. They'll call it an epic. I don't call it an epic. I call it a history book, the Mahabharata, where it talks about the Vimanas and the flying craft. Perhaps someone's already been to the moon. You know, add that to the whistleblower who talked. Well, not the whistleblower. Was it Michael? I forgot his name. I'll post a link. Somebody wants it. Michael. I think his name was. It's not Cartel. Marta. Cartel keeps coming to mind. I'm in a country with Democrats and Republicans. I'm always thinking about cartels. So no, Michael. I forgot his name, but he actually was one of the ones who looked at the moon anomalies and looking at the anomalies on the moon. And I think he was the one who found the clouds on the moon, that the moon actually has an atmosphere. And of course, he was crazy when he said it 15 years ago. But now NASA even says there's water on the moon. So we know the moon has a minimum atmosphere. And I think NASA even admitted up to that. So we're always waiting for a government to tell us things. And we shouldn't be doing that. We should be corroborating. I don't know, I said it wrong. Corroborating. Something like that. We should be putting together the accounts of what all these people are saying to come about the truth. And the truth simply is this: for disclosure, right? That's one of the things that they push for. They used to call themselves the Disclosure Project, and they changed their name to the Series Project. But do we need for unidentified flying objects to be disclosed? Do we need a government to come out? Do we need a leader who we all know always lies? They all do, all lying. Liars. They're the big fibber in the. They're always lying. Do we need them to come out and tell us that we aren't alone out here? I don't think that we do, but I think that they already did. I think if you're paying attention, they already did. If the 14 governments around the world that released their files that they've been trying to figure out what the hell's been flying around in outer space and in our atmosphere, and now America's starting to do that, and all these American pilots are coming out and saying they're there, then the government is already telling you we're not alone. They just caught the UFO lobby. It should be a conspiracy. I don't know why it's not a conspiracy. We only have like a 10-hour news cycle here. I don't know why stuff comes out and it disappears. But who is it? Harry Reid, Senator Reid? I know I don't talk about no politics, but it's all related. He was the one with that UFO project where they spent that $22 million, which it wasn't no $22 million. That's he stepped on somebody's shoes and they put him under the bus. To actually try to look at reverse engineering the aerospace abilities with that aerospace company. Why that guy was it Michael Bigelow or something like that. His aerospace company to try to figure out how these craft are actually working. If your government's spending the money to try to reverse engineer what they're seeing in space, and it was a quiet project that you weren't allowed to know about, and now you found out about it on accident, they already know what's up there. And they've been looking at it from Project Blue Book going all the way back. They've been trying to figure out what the heck's flying around. Some of y'all think it's Nazis. I personally don't think so. I don't think that's plausible. I think it's more plausible that on a planet that's teeming with life, in a universe, in a solar system that has water and liquid water on the majority of the bodies throughout there, that life is all over the place. We're just not as interesting as we think we are, and I think that's kind of this whole war, mineral, and how all this thing is related, is that if a government can convince you that we're alone, we can act a fool. We can act a fool. Y'all remember remember in class when the teacher leave the classroom and the teacher leave, what everybody do? Act a fool. Unless they get little Johnny, take names. Johnny sit there and write down the names of everybody. Gerard talking, ran his mouth, he's throwing paper, hit somebody in the back of his head. If they leave a monitor, then the class doesn't act up. But if the teacher leaves and you think you're the only game in town, all the kids, the only game, they can do whatever they want to do. And I think that's kind of, when it comes down to being a steward of the planet and acting ignorant, acting unsustainable, raping a world for resources, you can do that very easily if you think the government is the highest order in the universe, right? You can do that if you think, and they're okay with it. If you consider, we were talking about the other day, what's that movie? I'm getting old, y'all. Keanu Reeves, but it was in the 1950s, the first one. That movie, somebody will post it. The one where the aliens weren't too happy with us. They came back. I think Hollywood releases stuff every now and then. There actually was someone, I know going back in the 60s, there were a lot of people who talked about, I'm forgetting the name of them. They were talking about a planet and a race of people who were like warning the world that we're destroying it, and if we go too far, that they're going to wipe us out, something like that. So we're not stewards of this planet. We don't care for life. We don't even care for each other's lives. Many of us don't even care for our life. And so I think it all, again, it's all related. If we think that there are other things out there, then perhaps we'll consider that this isn't our planet. Maybe we won't act a fool. Maybe if we think the moon is hollow, maybe the flat earth people right. Maybe some aliens in the moon, maybe some of the whistleblowers are right, that maybe there's something there, it's a big antenna and they're monitoring us, right? That we might actually not act up as much. We might not murder. We might actually want to show that we are a little sentient, got a little sentience somewhere in the back of the head, back here. Because, sentient creatures, they don't murder each other. Sentient creatures don't murder themselves. Sentient creatures, they don't murder the environment that's required for them to live. And so I think from that movie, and it slips my mind, somebody has to post the name of that movie. The Day the Earth Stood Still. The Day the Earth Stood Still. If we actually think that something's watching us, something that's all powerful, whether that be a god, some angels, maybe some demons, some aliens, whatever it be, hall monitor, classroom monitor, if we actually think that we're accountable to something greater than a government, greater than ourselves, we might not act up. We might act like we have a little common sense. We might act like we're sentient. So if that thing ever comes back, we've proven that we shouldn't get wiped out. Because if you really think about it, and just even for a moment, just growing up, acting mature, and taking care of your planet, your environment, consider this for a minute. What if none of that is true? What if aliens, everybody lying, government telling the truth? I can't even say it with a straight face. Hold on. Suppose the government is telling the truth. There's no aliens, no UFOs. Suppose that is true. And with Big Bang, just some microbiology all kind of came together. What species on this earth has ever destroyed its environment and actually lived? What thrives on a planet that has multicellular organisms, I love that, multicellular organisms that all have cellular intelligence, which we know now. Everything has cellular intelligence. Intelligence is not in your brain. Intelligence is in your cells. We know cellular intelligence is a real thing, if you follow science. Nothing is allowed to thrive out of control. Anything that thrives out of control is something else comes along to eat it. Something comes along to destroy it, because that's how the earth always balances things out. So even if you don't believe in some aliens that are watching us, a God that's watching us, an Allah, a Buddha, something that's watching us, trying to make sure we ain't acting a fool while the teacher's gone. Eventually, something is going to get us. we need to perhaps not be focused on each other, whether it be a virus or something. It's like plastic, right? Say, oh, plastic's only lasts 1 billion years. It's got 100 million year half-life. And now we know that the plastic in the ocean is being eaten by bacteria because multicellular organisms or an alien drop a little drop a little juice out the beaker with a little bacteria. Oh, these damn humans, they're putting plastic all in the oceans. They're gonna kill stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and drop a little of that in there. And now they found, I forgot what university it is, but they're actually studying the bacteria that's actually eating the plastic in the ocean. So no, human beings, you're not gonna make something that's not gonna get thrived upon. It's like algae in the water, right? Algae goes too far, there's too much algae, something comes along to eat it. Where does algae come from? Too many nitrates in the water, eats it. Where do weeds in your garden come from? You got too much nitrate, damn it, you're buying all that Miracle Grow, putting chemicals and carcinogens all over the good ground we're supposed to be growing some food. And now you got weeds growing everywhere. You can't figure out why, because you got an overabundance of algae. Something always comes along to balance everything out. And if it didn't, planet wouldn't be here. And that's whether you believe in microbiology, God, fungi, aliens. It's just the truth. So us acting a fool over oil, us acting a fool over minerals, it has no end for us. It has no good end for us. We actually have to come down, which is why I wanted to get on that this morning. I'm talking, I'm not looking what y'all commenting about. Let me look at your comments. But it's lunar time, right? Everybody looking up at the lunar. I think we should talk about why the lunar eclipse is there. It's not natural. It's artificial. There's no chance that it is by chance. It's mathematically impossible. It doesn't exist. We haven't seen it anywhere. We've found how many Earth-like planets? We haven't found any that have a moon that's what, 30% of its size? What was the moon? 30% of our size? It's impossible. I was listening to the lecture the other day. Said, you know what? So we found, I kind of want to play something. We said we found, we know how to make nuclear weapons, but science still can't explain why the moon is where it is. I'm gonna show you a little clip of something. I came prepared this morning. I got some clips. I want to show you a clip. A lot of good, interesting. I can't show the whole clip. I show part of the clip. A lot of good, interesting moon level discussions. But the moon is just one more thing that they're lying about. And how does this relates to everything? I know I link stuff together. Y'all like, how do you link all that together? Gun rights and healthcare and war and all of it. Every last drop of all of it is all based on the fact that we got to a point where we actually agree and go along with people we know are always lying to us. When government has no secrecy and all of these agendas that everybody cares about, everyone's got their own little, they pick a little piece. This is the one thing that's important to me. I don't want the government lying about this. If we all actually just focus on the fact that they're lying to us and stop teaming up and grouping up, because guess what? In my country where I'm from, y'all, it always tends to be some race or religion that everyone groups up on. If you realize they're lying to the white people and they're lying to the black people, doesn't it make sense for the white people to get together and say, hey, stop lying to all of us? If they're lying to the Catholics and they're lying to the Christians and they're lying to the Muslims and they're lying about the immigrants and they're lying to the gun, doesn't it make sense if you're lying to everybody, for the people who being lied to, the commoners, to say, you know what, stop lying. They're lying to the people who want to know about aliens and UFOs. It's all right. I wanted to play this video. I saw this thing this morning, and it kind of walked through a lot of interesting things. Like, one of the things from the moon, that all the craters are the same depth, and that was one of the theories about why the moon is hollow, is because all the craters are the same depth. The craters on the moon don't look anything like the craters anywhere else. It's like they go through and they penetrate down to 2.5 miles or something like that, or some sort of some depth. I forgot. I'm messing it up. But then that's it. You can't have all craters be the same size unless they're all hitting the same interior structure, which that actually makes some sense. All right, here we go. Y'all check this out for a minute. Uh-oh, that's loud, not that. Always got something coming up. Let me see, where are we at? We are right here. And then I will look at the comments. I promise. I always read my comments. I always want to know what y'all are thinking, so I'm not talking to myself. Ooh, that's way too loud. And I'll post the whole thing. I just want you to see just a few seconds.
Man, I love the moon. Would you say the moon is masculine or feminine?
Spiritually speaking, I've most often heard that it embodies female energy.
Me too, but we have Mother Nature full of life and creation. Wouldn't the moon be the father?
Yeah, you might think so. However, our celestial father is most definitely the sun. It's because of our father above and our mother below that allows all of this life to exist. The moon is actually neither, which makes me think it must be more like a cousin. But perhaps what's more curious about old Lady Luna is that her existence has actually never been explained by modern science.
Who needs science to explain things?
Right, I mean, I know you don't. But isn't it interesting that using science we can build nuclear weapons, but cannot even explain this most ancient entity that floats at our doorstep? What's stranger, the moon is actually far too big to be a natural satellite of the Earth. If I'm not mistaken, there is not a single other planet in our solar system whose moon compares in ratio to our own Earth-Moon ratio. Our moon is actually larger than Pluto. The current leading theory in science is that something like a Mars-sized planet-like rock came out of nowhere and hit the Earth, and then it became the moon. And when those physics didn't work out, they came up with a new theory that said that the same planet-like rock-like thing hits the planet, bounces around, and then hits it again, and then becomes the moon. Needless to say, the physics still didn't work.
Well, what the hell? Is there more?
Well, now that you ask, have you ever heard anything about it being hollow?
Hollow?
Yeah, I've got the details somewhere here. Let's see. Here it is. In November of 1969, NASA crashed a lunar module into the moon, causing the equivalent of 1 ton of TNT. NASA said that the moon reverberated like a gong for half an hour. Then they did it again, causing an impact of 11.5 tons of TNT, and it rang like a bell for over 4 hours. It vibrated in a way as if it were hollowed out, with giant hydraulic damper struts inside of it.
Wowzy wheezy.
Want to know something else?
Always.
The surface of the moon contains minerals like titanium, but also processed metals like brass and mica. It also contains something called uranium-236 and neptunium, which are both minerals that have never been found to occur naturally. Uranium-236 is a long-lived nuclear waste that appears in spent nuclear fuel, and neptunium is a radioactive byproduct of nuclear reactors when plutonium is being created. This means that at least some of the rocks on the moon are most likely synthetic, and while it's only a theory, I wouldn't say it's illogical to come to the conclusion that it could be artificially created.
I'm gonna stop there. I'll post a whole video so you can watch the whole thing. I always want you support people who make good content. But and those were the two elements I was talking about, right? So you have artificial elements on the moon, which is perhaps why they want you to think it's nothing on the moon. Don't look here. You know, hey, everybody keep flying. But you know, of course, I think that when your government actually steps up to the plate and they make these satellites and they send them up there and they realize, whoa, the West was lying. Look at all this up here. And they start to realize that there's a little more of what's going on. It's being used for military application. That perhaps, I don't know, the Atlanteans, the ancient people. I forgot something. I forgot his name. No. I so many people in my. The Mexican culture who went to live underground because the sun went away for many years. I forgot the name of that culture. Who was the brother who always posts the videos? I have to post it. When I find it, I have to post it. But anyway, so there was a new, it's not new, very old, but there was a Mexican culture that was talking about, just like the Hopi Indians, just like how they found all those underground cities all over the planet, just how the Egyptians talked about how the sun flipped and reversed a couple times. But anyway, they went underground because it was dark, because there was absolutely no sun for so many years. And so what is that? It could be about the theory about the earth flipping, but a lot of this stuff is important. This is why I love ancient archaeology, because the whistleblowers back then, right? The cavemen who drew the pictures of the aliens and the UFOs on the cave, the folks back in Europe who drew the pictures of, you had Christ and you had aircraft, you had things flying in the background, the Enoch and the rest of them who talked about how fire came out of these crafts, the ancient cultures who built the ziggurats, who said that the aliens came and landed, that the gods came down and landed on top of the ziggurat, which is why they built them and then would take off. And now you got the modern whistleblowers from NASA and the NSA and the CIA and these top secret government projects who are coming forward and telling you all of this. And you choose to believe your government. Choose to believe your government. Choose to believe your government. Government right. Oh, and the other one was they talked about how the moon rang like a bell. Do y'all remember going back, I guess about 10 years, out the blue, no one talked about anything, and all of a sudden NASA was like, because this was just before India and China got their space program together, and there was another country that was on the list of going to the moon, and the United States, we sent up a nuclear weapon, and we blew something up on the moon. Y'all remember that? What was it for? Oh, it's because we want to hit the moon with a nuke to determine if there's water on the moon, and we're going to send some sensors behind it to collect the water vapor and the ice. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. This is the same NASA that won't even let a probe land on a planet, right? This is the same NASA who 99% of all the probes, the billion-dollar probes, they send into the sun and they send out into deep space because they don't want to contaminate a planet, a planetary body, by putting their probe that's totally sterilized on the planet. This is the same NASA that sent a nuclear weapon and just irradiated a part of the moon's surface with an explosion for nothing. Nah, I'm not buying it. Not buying. Wasn't born yesterday, wasn't born a few seconds ago. It's not buying it. They blew something up. There was something there they didn't want anybody. They didn't destroy. They got the site, got as much of stuff they wanted out of the building. Some ancient Atlantean building or some alien, whatever it was, some antenna, got all the stuff, took all the pictures they could. And now India and China wanted to go to the moon. Oh no. And that might have been just before Jade Rabbit. It might have been China's. I don't know. But then they blew it up. When your government does stuff that doesn't make sense, you know they're lying, right? And anywhere they tell you not to look, that's where 99% of everybody needs to be paying attention, because that's where the goodie bag is, right? It's like a little kid at Christmas time. You know, parents say, stay out the closet. You know, that's where they're hiding the presents. That's the first place you need to go. The government right now, what do all governments agree on? Most of them, most all of them, the Western ones do. You commoners, you 99%, there are two places you cannot go. You can do anything else you want on the planet. They'll put you in prison for it if you did, you know, whatever. But the two places you can't go, they'll kill you if you try. One is Antarctica, and the other is space, the moon. You are not allowed to go. Ask yourself why. That's where the goodies are. So anyway, so anytime you have some commoners that's been there and they start getting old and they start telling the truth because they want the truth to be known before they die, like the astronauts and these generals, these people who worked with the presidents, and they're telling us, we need to be listening, because they're telling us where the goodie bag is. All right, let me look at some comments and I'll back out of here. I'll get some of these pictures off of the thing. Hopefully everybody's doing good this morning. I'm sorry, I didn't do my shout outs. I didn't greet everybody this morning. I'm sorry. I got all excited. Sometimes I'm like, I can talk about some moon stuff. I can talk about some hidden stuff during the week, because that's what's in the news, because they're talking about the lunar eclipse. So let me see what we got here. All right, see what people say. But I'm gonna preface this. I'm gonna preface this with my statement. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. That is not I don't care what anybody believes. The only thing I want you to do is to think about shutting down governments that are always lying to you and teaming up with people that they're also lying to. No matter what color they are, no matter what religion they are, no matter if they believe in some aliens, some Bigfoot, some Sasquatch, I'm good with all of that. I don't, because I don't know. I've never gone swimming in the loch, so I don't know if Loch Ness Monster is there. But if that guy wants to team up with me and say, you know what, the government's lying about Loch Ness, I'm going to say, yeah, they probably are. Damn it. They're lying about everything else. It's about bringing in 99%, all the commoners together to get the information, right? There can't be any secrecy in government. And if we actually can have that information, then we, on everything, not one thing, everything. It's our data, it's our information, right? When they go to the moon, that's our camera. We paid for it. We pay their salaries. all of it belongs to us. So the idea that they don't show it to us is insanity. Good decisions are made on real data, but they keep us, going the ways they want us to go because they actually have an embargo on information. And that embargo is time for it to come to an end because governments all over the world are now playing with life-ending technologies at a world scale, right? They're not playing in these labs with they're not making wheels no more. They're not making fax machines. They're making extremely destructive technologies that they should not really be messing with. That's my perspective. So anyway, let me see what y'all talking about. Who's in the house this morning? Brother Kevin came in. Truman Show, anyone? Yes. This is the Truman Show. We are, Kevin, who's that? There's that scientist who has that theory that the world is a simulation, that we're all actually inside of a simulation. And I kind of believe that. I wake up every morning, sometimes I look like, is this really real? This ain't real. This can't be real. None of this is real. I'm just going to have some fun today because this isn't real. I don't believe any of this is real. What's up, Brother Todd? How you doing this morning? And Betty, Celia, Brother Bajorn. Ushering people into the realm of belief it has its advantages. Oh my gosh, does it? Yes, brother. Oh, come on. If you can usher people into believing something, you own the world. That's what this is about. And that's what this information, all these information embargoes are about. Because if we can actually get the information and find out, hey, is this real? Is this fake? Who's lying about what whistleblowers are true? Which brigadier generals are lying? Which governments are, then we can actually make good informed decisions. But if you can walk them into believing things with minimal or no evidence because you have an embargo on the information, oh, you can take over a planet. You can walk 7 billion people happily to their end. So we can't do that. What's up, Wanda and Marcia and Patricia and Rosa in the house, Mariana? Patricia said no picture, probably my phone. Oh, okay. Yeah, you probably just need to reboot. It's a picture. I'm telling you, it's a picture. I'm only invisible if y'all looking for minerals. Hold on. I have to show you something. I saw this the other day. I think Sister Diane found this. I think I posted it this morning. I was laughing. I don't think a lot of people understand some of the stuff I post. Let me see if I can. Let me. It's all on topic. It always is. It's always related to some minerals. People always, because everything they want is they want to lie to you. They want to go rob and steal somebody else's minerals. Hold on, let me do this. See if I can show this on the fly using my technology. Let me see if I can show you this. Look at this. You got the colonial guys come say, hello there. Welcome to globalism. Welcome to economic rationalism. Or is that nationalism? And this is what it's always about. And that's right on my face. It is hilarious. I had to post it. I don't think everybody really understands it. People get lost and they try to, the colonials weren't that bad. No, everything is about robbing some minerals and taking some resources. Diane posted that. I was rolling when I saw that because that's what's wrong with our world. What's wrong with our world is we're not stewards of it. We're not stewards of each other. And we're willing to go and rob and take from others. And we're willing to lie to others so we can go rob and take. And maybe that's what's going on the moon. Maybe they just don't want anyone looking at the moon because it's all the minerals and resources and they're up there just taking everything. They could be that, But if we don't know the truth, then we don't know the truth. Maria said, where's that photo from? I'm sorry, Sister Maria. Which photo? If you mean the moon photo behind me, then they're all over. They've been for a couple years now producing color pictures of the moon now. So they're not just gray. If you go online, I don't Google, but I EcoAsia. You go to Ecosia. It's not EcoAsia. You go to ecosia.com and type in moon color photos, and you'll get hundreds of them. I think they can only like hide stuff and lie about stuff for so long because now you got the European Space Agency, you got China, you got India. I think even Pakistan has a space program now. You got everybody going up to the moon now. You can't lie about this stuff, but for so long, you can only trick so many people into lying about it. And maybe this is the reason why the Imperial United States is acting up. Maybe that's why they're flipping out now and they're going crazy and they're actually trying to invade the world and just acting irrational. Maybe that's why they needed Trump, because they're at a point where so many nations are going up in space that at a certain point in time, somebody's not going to take the bribe. What's up, brother? Mike is in the house, and Yasim and Verna and Fadia and Nancy and brother Harvey and Susan, a whole bunch of folks. Okay, you shared and invited. Thank you, Lynn. I always appreciate that. I think telling the truth is always a good message, because, you know, and that's the other good thing about it. You know, when we actually find out what actually is true and what's actually going on, then people stop fighting, right? Because if the truth comes out and you realize, oh, okay, UFOs are real. We don't know what the aliens look like, but we know they're real. Then people focus on that. Or say, oh, nope, it's all a lie. It's all fake, false. They done made it all up. Then we can make a good decision on that. But if we don't know the truth, then you got this stork tribalism. The guy explains stork tribalism. The stork, you were born and it came and it took you in a little bag and dropped you, dropped your little Indian family, little Aboriginal family, little Native American family, little white family, European, black family, whatever. And that's who you became. They had this religion. You became that too. You were indoctrinated. And so I call it stork tribalism, right? The stork took you somewhere. You joined that tribe, got indoctrinated, and now you're just ignorant. Fighting against humanity for the 1% on this stork tribalism. But I think when you know the truth, then people have less reasons to fight, because it's just truth. Here's the truth. It's right in front of you. Make a decision based on that. And I think a lot of the narratives about what really is happening around the world go away when people actually know the truth on their governments. Elizabeth, remember the prison show with McGowan? I don't remember the prison show with McGowan, sister. I'm sorry. I don't. But the older I get, the less I barely remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. So that doesn't say a whole lot. Good morning, Mary and Alex and Teresa. What's going on? Went to the Pikes Peak last year, and they can tell you stories of Bigfoot. Ooh, Bigfoot's a nice one. That's a sexy conspiracy theory. Well, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory. Let me be nice. I don't want to say that. I'm not sure what I believe when it comes to Bigfoot. What I think is the things that I heard are plausible. And I've heard a whole bunch of stuff. To me, it's, in my mindset, it's plausible, right? So if one of the things they said Bigfoot is Paleopithecus, something like that, that it's one of these old species of apes where they actually found the bones and stuff. And so they know that they're thinking, okay, maybe a few of them survived. They learn how to live in caves. They avoid humans because humans are jacked up, cripple blind, crazy, stupid, and murder everything. And so they don't want to have anything to do with this. And that kind of feeds in with some of the stories of in Russia of, what do they call it in Russia? I forgot the name of it, but it's not Sasquatch. It's, I don't know. And then the stories of northern China where they actually saw it as well. And so there are stories of these Bigfoot creatures all over the planet. The Native Americans, indigenous folks to America, North America, drew them all over caves and pictures and told stories about these men. Even, I think it was the Vikings or in Europe, they talked about the Norsemen and the creatures that they ran into. Yes, Yeti. Thank you, somebody. I can't see who posted it. And so that's it. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not sure the government has any information on that. But then the whole alien side of it is that, well, if we live in a universe where life just develops any sort of way, it's possible that some monkeys developed on another planet. It's possible some monkeys developed on this planet earlier, and some genetic engineers came in and put some of their chromosomes in, and these things evolved. And there's a theory that, you know, that some of them crash landed on the planet and they just live here. And, you know, there's another theory that I think, you know what? I think, there's a theory of quantum physics and dimensional, that there are creatures that actually phase in and out of dimensions. That's possible too. So I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Bigfoot. I'd love to know the truth. I don't know there's something the government is attached to. But what relates to the Sirius project could be, I forgot the name of the brother. If you go out and look at the testimonials, he is one. There's one who talks about their 57 species of aliens that the Western governments know about, going back, dealing with, what is that? Was it NATO? the NATO release where they released all these files to all the different governments. And so it was one of the testimonials. Hey, pick and choose what you believe. I don't know. But I don't have any friends that saw Bigfoot. I have friends that that say they worked on technology that is not made by human fingers. Let me see what else we got. Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah. And but you know what, Mary? I think and that was my example. I think that things work together on a macro scale as they do a micro scale. If we'll do it, then it's probably being done by something else elsewhere. So you think about how we send probes everywhere. Aliens would do that too. Which is what one of the whistleblowers said, is that the alien gray with the big head and the big eyes, that it's a biological drone that they actually put in these crafts and they send here, but they have problems in the atmosphere and our planet because of the radar we use, or electric storms, and they crash, but they're just drones. And it makes sense. If there's like a minimally developed species that lived on Mars per se, and we sent up our satellites, was it like 50% of the satellites crash and they actually don't make the missions? So they crash land on Mars, and Mars is like, oh, what is this? And I can see them fighting, grabbing the technology, trying to reverse engineer, figure out how to work. But this is how it always works. The Russians do that too. When our satellites crash there, they grab and they reverse engineer them. When they shoot down our airplanes, they grab and they reverse engineer them. And all the wars now, that's what China and Russia's doing, is that, they grab American technology and they pull it in Britain, UK, and different things, and they try to reverse engineer it. And so reverse engineering is standard, and that's what that's one thing though that all of those eyewitness testimonies agree on, is they're all saying that these are all technologies that come from somewhere nobody knows, multiple dimensions, aliens, I don't know, and we're reverse engineering. Could be Nazis on the moon. I'm fine with that. No, actually, I'm not fine with that. I'm not fine with that. I don't want that to be the truth, but could be. I don't know. I've never been there. Unfortunately, the state is acting like they are gods. They are not. That's a good debate, Teresa. That's a good question. They do, right? Because the state has convinced us that they have the right over life. And unfortunately, a large portion of the 99% agree, and they go along with these ideas of these wars and how they kill people, that they have the right over life. I mean, they're doing it, we talked about yesterday with the water wars. They're determining which corporations should have the water as a priority over the people, and they're willing to let them die for it. What wars that they're fighting with the Houthis in Yemen and all the other different tribes that are fighting Saudi Arabia. They're dictating. They've convinced a lot of people, and you got a lot of people who clap for this, that they're the gods and they get to dictate human life. And my stance is always this, is that I'll agree and go along with your group if you've got some good ideas, but the minute you try to convince me that you gotta murder somebody because they disagree with you, you don't have my support anymore. That's why I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican. I'm not in any political parties. I'm not with any groups, because when those groups get up to a point where they want me to agree that murdering people is a good idea, it's not going to ever happen. Brother Chuck, how's it going? He said the government lies exposed by a U.S. judge in 2017. Got a link, YouTube. I have to check it out, Brother Chuck. That's all they do. That's all they do is lie, which is why I probably laugh a lot, because every time I think about it, I'm just like, we know this. Like, we all know this. We know that the kid that's lying about the Kung Fu, the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, he always lies. He's always lying. But now you have adults, grown, human being adults with fully formed frontal lobes they go along with these governments and these politicians who they know are paid to lie. Like something I was thinking about the other day, Brother Chuck, is I try to figure out why people do what they do. And oh man, the thought kind of escaped me, but it was something, I'm not drinking enough coffee, Chuck. I don't know what it is. The thought kind of passed me by, but we go along with people who we know are always lying, and we know that they're owned by the 1%. We know that their job is not to do anything for the people. Once your country joins this whole currency debt-based system for international banking and big corporations, your government is owned by those corporations. They're not owned by you. Yeah, I know you got a constitution. That's just, you can pee on that because it means nothing. You can burn it up. It means nothing to them. All of that stuff is used to kind of keep people fighting, the 99% commoners fighting over stuff that don't matter. And once your government's in place, they always do what the corporations want. Profit is always above that. And so it's just illogical to me, right? Like, I believe in Bigfoot more than I believe in politicians that don't lie. I believe in aliens and Loch Ness Monster and Champ and all of that. I believe in all of that more than governments that don't lie. Why? Because there's more evidence that they're true than those governments aren't lying. And so these parties, they come up with these ideas, and these politicians that they say, oh, they're not going to lie to you. They're true. We can believe in it. Some change. It's change, hope and change. We're going to make America great again, you know, and all of this stuff. And I'm just sitting here like, are you crazy? Like, the job isn't doing what you want anymore. And that's why the system is sick and what's got to be fixed. And I really don't care what politicians say. It's the system that's sick. You can flip and flop all these politicians you want from all the leaders all over the world. It's not going to change anything. It's the system that's busted, right? Once they get in place, their job, they can be great people before they get into office. But once they're in office, their job is to do what corporations and banks tell them to, not what you want them to do. You know, I think they'll pass a few laws to try to pacify the people, keep people over here fighting and people over there fighting, but they always lie. So it boggles my mind how anybody with a frontal lobe is still like pushing for these politicians. And then I started thinking about the end of the world, Chuck. I started thinking, you know what? Maybe we all just gonna die anyway. They start talking about what new presidents they're gonna put in, what new leaders, and how they're gonna change the UN. It's gonna work now. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, we all gonna die. They don't get it. They don't get it. And I started just smiling like, hey, we had a good run, y'all. Human beings, we had a good run. Did what we could. Love everybody I can. Experience things. Get to that bucket list early. But they're already talking about flopping in a new shill to fall into the same corrupt system. Unfortunately, let me see. Hey, Amy, how you doing this morning? Self-deprecating and handsome. Nice combo. Thanks for having the courage to discuss it. Oh, thank you, sister. I appreciate it. I can do great stuff with green screens. I'm old dude. Don't believe the hype. I play with green screens all day long, make myself look decent. Astronaut Mike Collins saw things on the moon. Yes, Mary, but didn't they all the well, not all of them, a lot of them. And I have a theory about that. Why are so many astronauts talking about like alien life now and all this stuff? I think it's because they went there, they signed the contracts. You see something on the moon, you can't say nothing. Because the Brookings report told them that they can't release that information. But now they know they can't talk about that, what they saw when they were in employment of the government. But now the other stuff that's coming out, they're talking about, and they're singing like canaries. They're all kind of crazy stuff is coming out of their mouth about how we're not alone, because they know we're not alone. And so it's more believable. Once you go into space and you see all this stuff flying around, they say is out there, when you come back, you might not be able to talk about that. But you can certainly talk about the things that other people are talking about. So I think that's part of it, short of the ones whose contracts are expiring and they're just singing like canaries. And I think the other thing Stephen Greer talks about, which is why he wants to pull more whistleblowers in. I think he had about, well, they had about 300 when they did the press club, when they were trying to get Congress to have congressional hearings on UFOs, to hear the testimonies. And now they have 1,000 people, and it's based on what he got from the lawyer, that lawyer that told him. Well, actually, it wasn't a lawyer, right? It was someone, I think it was someone high up in the CIA explained it to him, and he conferred with the lawyer that because Congress doesn't have the ability to see what they're working on these black projects, and presidents don't even have the access to these projects and what they're working on, this high-level technology, that these are rogue elements within the government, that they're actually not subject to the government. And so if you or somebody who worked on these projects, who actually signed any of these non-disclosure agreements, they're all null and void, because those agreements are based on these groups being controllable by the government, that they are within a line of structure where they report up to, Congress, a Senate, and a commander-in-chief, and they don't do that anymore. And so they're rogue. The projects don't exist. They're not American. They're not nationals. They're actually traders who are working within our country. And so because there's a logical legal debate that the contracts you're signing, that you're working on a classified project, you're actually not working on a classified project for the American government. You're working on a classified project for corporations, which is actually highly illegal. So a lot of them are coming forward because now this is where this flood of whistleblowers are coming from about all this alien stuff. Susan, yes, good morning, Susan. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Nancy. Truth is not coming from the governments. No, it's not. And it doesn't have to, Susan, because if they know that most people are going to just clap and cheer and go along with the new reality TV or famous person that they put in office, they have no reason to tell us the truth. If that moon behind me is full of all those minerals and you already got the first private mining company looking to go to the moon, there's no reason for them to tell us the truth. If people are still fighting over race and religion and group and left and right and liberal and conservative, if they're still fighting each other, the 99%, the commoners, the serfs who all have everything in common because none of them got more than $100 million in the bank, there's no reason for them to tell us the truth. They don't have any fear of us. And where I come from, I think that we should give them some fear. I think that we should actually start laying down the sword we have for our neighbor, for the country next door, for the other side, the other group, and actually start talking about what we have in common. And the common thing is that one of the biggest ones is they're always lying to us. They're always giving us partial information. Good morning, Kate. What's the point of the government admitting to UFOs? Oh, okay, Kate. So I don't want them to admit to UFOs. To be honest with you, I don't. Because anything that they admit to, they're only going to tell part of the story. My interest is no secrecy, right? I don't think any government should have any private information anywhere. The technologies that we know exist based on what the whistleblowers are talking about, whether it's UFOs or aliens, it doesn't matter. It's about secrecy, right? If people control their governments, then their governments can't have secrets from them. If the people are actually in control and not oligarchs and bankers and whoever else. So I don't want them to come out and say UFOs are real. I already have my understanding. So I don't need them to tell me anything. I can look around on planet Earth and look up in space and look at the Hubble pictures and I can tell what's going on. I don't need them to release that. I want them to have no secrecy. I think when people get together and say, no, the Freedom of Information Act is not enough. They're still they're still redacting most of the data from the classified documents that come out. We still have presidents who were murdered and we don't know the truth behind. So for me, it's a no. I'm trying to get the UFO crowd with the gun rights crowd, with the universal health care crowd, with the anti-war crowd, because everybody has everything in common. And so it's a discussion of no secrets. And it just happens that UFOs is one of them, and the moon, and all of that, the fact that they don't actually show us what's on the surface of any of these bodies anywhere in our solar system, that they use Polaroid cameras, and that's what they release to the public, not the real pictures that we own from the high technology cameras that they send up on these probes that they keep to themselves. Like, anytime somebody's hiding something, then there's something there that the 99% need to see. So that's why I look at that. Yes, The Day the Earth Stood Still was the movie. Okay, a lot of people came in since the universe adjusts itself. Yes, Betty, it does. And I'm just thinking maybe it's a bad idea if the universe adjusts without us. I think that might be kind of bad for us. I think we should probably go along with the fact that every species, every civilization on Earth have always gone extinct. They've all been wiped. 99% of every civilization on Earth has all been wiped away. And I don't think we should really be excluding that fact. I think we should be asking the question, why? I think we should be looking at ancient archaeology and what the ancients said about, what they saw. I think we should be using that with corroborating information coming from these whistleblowers and all throughout time, as well as with NASA and these programs that are supposed to be reporting to us, but they don't really work for us, to be releasing all this information. So we can put together a map of what the heck are we? Why are we here? What else is out there? What do we need to be concerned with? Like with what Reagan was saying, that if there's something else out there, then less people down here would be fighting, especially not over minerals and resources that are abundant on every planet in the body. The 7-foot buildings, the 7-foot buildings, astronaut Mike Collins saw. 7-foot buildings. I didn't know anything about that. I have to look at that. Thank you, Mary. I'll have to take a peek. There's so much good information out there. I haven't seen everything. Definitely haven't seen anywhere near everything. Good morning, Cindy. How are you? Good morning, Kim. I'm more worried about the government is not saying, not just lying. What are they hiding? Right. And that's, yes, thank you, Kim. I don't want them to tell me anything. I don't need them to tell me anything. I know they're liars. Why? Think about that for me. Why would you want a liar to release information to you? Say that 3 times. I want a liar to release information. I want people who always lie who are paid to lie. I'll be fair with the government, right? Because they're shills in this too. They're being paid to lie. They're being forced to lie. So I want people whose job is to lie to me to tell me something. Nah, no, thank you. I don't want them telling me anything. Whatever they say, I'm not listening. That's why I didn't listen to the status of the empire today. Was that yesterday? That was yesterday. The status of the imperial empire. I didn't listen to it. I will, but because I try to listen through the cracks. I just didn't have time. It's like an hour-long speech. I will listen to it, but I don't care what they have to say. Yes, but the adults are treated like they treat the children in the public education system, distorted history and lies. But the hope is the truth. The hope is the truth, and yes, unity with all of us, and defining the joy in the Truman Show. Yes, Desiree. Yes. You have to find joy in the Truman Show, y'all. That joy is the key. You have to find a way to laugh your way out of all of this nonsense. You got to find a hiding place. You got to find anywhere you can go where you don't focus on the dissolution of being lied to all the time. You can't let the news take you into crazy town, because that's what it's designed to. It's designed to keep you scared, make you, oh, Trump is going to end the world, just like Obama was going to end the world, just like Bush was the Antichrist, just like, people keep going there. And it's like, oh, Kim Young done something ill, is going to press the button and kill everybody. They always keep you on the edge of people going to rob my house, people going to rob me. The news is just entertainment, right? It's entertainment, but it's also a guiding type of entertainment that guides you down this path of keeping you angry and scared. And I don't think we should be. I don't think we have a reason to be. I think we are a collective, and I think we got to go back to acting like a collective when we knew we had a reason to be. Back when we were hunter-gatherers and everything was trying to kill us, we knew that there was a greater problem we need to be focused on. And so when you met other tribes, you told them the good things and the bad things where they were hiding. You shared with them, you traded with them because you needed each other. And that's what I think about the universe, right? If human beings get to a point, and I think the majority do, like the last statistics I saw, the majority of people realize we're not alone. But if everyone gets there, and we understand that we are about this big in a universe that's ridiculously big, teeming with lots of life and things that we might need to be a little scared of more than bears and wolves and the things that brought us together as a collective back in hunter-gatherer days, that we could be hunter-gatherers now. All right, let me speed down to the bottom. It's a good discussion. I want to keep it going, but I do have to kind of wrap this up a little bit. So let me speed down to the bottom comments. Just a couple more comments. Let me see. I love The Prisoner, Yeti, The Prisoner, Aliens, 0% like the TV show, Patricia, demons, monsters, ghosts, goblins have been used to control people for centuries. Yes, Bajorn, and they always do. There's always a boogeyman. There's always a Saddam Hussein. There's always a bin Laden. There's always a boogeyman. There's always something, because they want to keep you focused in that direction to try to do something with you, which is why they can't have any secrets. We got to know the truth. I do not tolerate intolerance. I do not tolerate fascism. Thank you, Brother Patrick. And we shouldn't tolerate any ism, right? It's not just fascism, because right now we got fascism fighting fascism. which I don't understand. You got anti-fascism fighting fascism with fascism. And I'm just like, eh? Like, the whole concepts of grouping up on nationalism, but you're grouping up on anti-nationalism. You don't fight hate with hate. You destroy hate with love. And that's where I think we got to go to. We got to stop tolerating isms. We got to get past this stuff, the racisms, the isms, the groupism, the storkisms. We got to get past this stuff and just come down to being humans, become a collective, and actually do something better for our kids. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Brother Patrick. You always got something delicious to say. Thank you. Let me see. Sister Lynn said, my eyes open, really woke up when the DNC murdered Seth Rich. Yes, they did take out Brother Seth. And there's some truth there that we don't get to know about, right? There's some file somewhere. There's an order, text message, memo. Can we release that memo too? There's all types of stuff there that we're not allowed to be, that we're not allowed to know. And I think Seth was probably a wake up for a lot of people when they started to realize that, oh, I thought we were the good guys. No, you're not. Oh, I thought we were working for the good. No, you're not working for the good guys. You're working for the same people who are rolling out the same police state, which is why lives don't matter. White lives nor black lives matter. Seth Rich's life didn't matter. Martin Luther King's life didn't matter. JFK's life mattered. Your life doesn't matter, and your kids' life don't matter. Why? Because you keep voting for them not to matter. You got to stop being scared, like Brother Bajorn just said. You got to stop running from the goblins and the goobles and the things coming to get you and the boogeymen. There's only one boogeyman. And they got billions of dollars in the bank. Easy to spot. Can't hide very well with billions of dollars in the bank. Hey, Olga, how you doing this morning? I'm trying to come down to the last of the comments, and we're going to wrap it up. Some scarcities are created to control the masses and make the 1% wealthier. Thank you, Mary. And I think all scarcity is. I think all scarcities are made to control the masses, which is what the discussion started out on, is that all high-level technology has to be released, all of it. The world's dying. We're killing it. That's better yet. It's not dying. We're killing it. Yeah, okay, it's not the world. The world's going to be fine. Our environment is dying, and we're killing it. And why is that happening? It's happening because if they keep us limited in resources, they keep us fighting. And when we're fighting, we're scared of our neighbor. When we're scared of our neighbor, we run to the government and say, oh, please help us. We need some laws. We need to save us from our neighbors who are just like us. And all scarcity is designed to control the people. It's planned obsolescence. Everything is planned to run out, which means you keep buying, which means you keep needing money, which means you got to keep working, which means you got to keep saving, which means that, you're constantly, you're like a hamster running in the wheel. I was thinking about the other day, you're like a mouse running in the wheel, but you want the respect of a guinea pig, but you keep running in the wheel. The guinea pigs, they get a lot more love and respect, but you keep running in that wheel. You keep running in the wheel, acting like a mouse, and they'll keep treating you like a mouse. Something I have to think about, a little more. And sometimes I think voting is just designed to tell our governments how much we actually believe in them. And the more we believe in them, the more they get away with. And that voting actually is going the opposite direction of where we should be going, that we should be showing them we have no confidence in them. Like in my country, I think our Congress has a less than 15% approval rating now. Less than 15% of the people actually think that they're doing what they should be doing. But yet, all of those people are still voting. And they're still voting for them. This is why I think sometimes we got a little bit of mental illness stuff that we need to click a little bit. But, in a loving way, a little mental illness. But everything is always about some minerals and resources. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Absolutely. That's what I say, is that it's a systematic problem and it's all a distraction. We got to focus on the system. Everybody's hating on the players. Everybody's loving the game. What's the point of hating the players and loving the game? And that's what they keep doing. And this is why nothing changes. They want to swap the players out because they like how the player looks. They like the player's race. They like the player's religion. They like the player's political party, but you keep getting played. And at a certain point in time, people have to grow up and say, nah, I'm done being played. Y'all can't have any more secrecy. You know, we got brothers all over the earth, sisters all over the earth, 7 billion of them, all cousins, and we're sick of it. We're done with it. All right, let me get down. I'm about to sing. Get down, get. All right, let me stop. I got to wrap this up. Maybe we're just an alien science experiment. I agree. Agree is not a word. Don't put that down anywhere. You'll fail English. I agree. I think we are an experiment. I think we're just a colony. I think that most of the world's major religions and most scientists are leaning this way too. That there's no way we're the only game in town, and that something came here and it made all of this and put us here, and that we're this little science experiment. And just how the little kid makes sure that his ant colony, his ant farm is okay. You know, the aliens got the moon or something to make sure we're okay. But a reminder so that when we actually evolve far enough to realize we're not alone. And we need to stop acting ignorant like we're alone. We need to stop acting like the earth is ours, because it probably isn't. The ant farm didn't belong to the ants. When the ants acted up, too many of them, they were wiped out. You know, I think why aren't aliens landing on the lawn and all over the place, or UFOs or whatever? For the same reason I put a plug on the top of my ant farm as a kid, because I had red ants in there. I don't want the big black ants and the other color ants to come in, the army ants to invade and destroy the ant farm. No, I want to watch them have babies and little eggs and walk around. I just want to watch them from the moon. So I think that could be right. We could just be a colony. All right. Let me get down. It's always a fun topic. You always get a lot of folks wanting to talk about the truth when it comes to space. But we have to, you know, if your interest is aliens, then you got to link up with people whose interest is truth in another direction, right? Like in another area. People have to come together. Ancient archaeology is another one. You know, everybody's saying the same thing, that they want to know the truth, but you're not allowed to know the truth because the Egyptian government doesn't think you have the right to know the truth. So they can go and raid all the pyramids they want. And I think now is a great time for the truth and like taking back ownership of our governments, because the 10,000 sites that they found, 10,000 buildings that they found under the sands in Egypt, and we don't even know what's in there. And we're not going to know what's in there, because those governments are going to go raid those sites, utilize whatever they can, hide whatever they can, sell whatever they can, do a Zahi Hawass, put it in your pocket, run out the door and sell it somewhere. You know, and if they find a Vimana, the world will end, and we will all work for Egypt. Because the Egyptian government, they find it first. They're not going to play with it. They're going to take over the world with it. Or if they find some vibration technology, like it's interesting when we start looking at like vibration and its ability to do things, affect energy and matter. And maybe there's just an old ancient vibration device they use to cut the stones and lift stones and do things with. And the Egyptian government gets that, reverse engineer that. And man, we in some big trouble. Then again, we in big trouble now. But it would just be another government in play. Do you think Trump should get a Golden Globe for his performance yesterday? You know what, Mary? I didn't watch it. I'm going to watch it probably when I get some time. I will watch it. But I don't have to watch it to answer that question. Trump should absolutely have the Golden Globe Award. He is putting on a performance like you would never believe. He has got people running around chasing their heads, and they have no idea that he's just in place to keep people distracted. I think he didn't want to be president. I think he was just trying to showboat and make a little money, gain some popularity in his dying popularity. And he didn't realize how just stupid the Republicans were. He didn't realize how corrupt, dirty, and foul the DNC was. And he accidentally became the president. And I think once he got in there, I think he tried to do the things that he thought were good. And then, which I know half the country agreed, half the world probably agrees with it, but disagrees with that. But then they sat down and told him the truth. Said, look, man, we got two choices. We can kill you. We can kill your family. We can put you all on the moon. Or we can put you in jail. Or you can do what we're telling you to do. Like, this is how the world works. American presidents, you don't get to decide anything. So we've decided that you will best serve to keep the public running around on Twitter. This is what we think you can do. We think, Trump, we think that you were so funny and anti and obstinate and such a phenomenal troll that we want you to troll the whole world on Twitter. Can you do that? If you can do that, I don't know. We'll give you $100 billion by the time, the banks will pay you all this. So I think it's the same deal. I think they gave him the same deal they gave to Obama. They got him in there. Oh, I want to do good and hope and change. Yeah, first of all, yeah, sit down. Sit down, little Negro. You ain't changed nothing. It's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. So here's the deal. We're gonna take out Sasha, Malia, and Bo, and we're gonna put them on the moon, and let them die in zero gravity, zero oxygen, unless that you do the following things. Like, we know you want to change everything, but you're this real smart, intelligent, charismatic guy. We need you to just get out there and just be sweet and kind, and so the media won't hate on you. They won't post anything that's bad about you. They'll only post true stuff about you. And so we can invade the world on your I think all presidents are actors. I don't know that they want to be. I think they all mean well going in, but once you get in, the world can't work that way. How ignorant would billionaires be if they actually let the American government, the American people, the American people actually dictate where their profits come from? How dumb would they be? I don't think billionaires are that dumb. Yeah, you can really believe pathological. Yeah, you really can believe pathological liars. I cannot put myself through the torture of listening to manipulating obfuscator. Yes, big words, brother Patrick, and I can't either. I have about this tolerance for politics, this much tolerance. I have a little. I'll be honest. I'm come out the closet a little bit. I have a little more tolerance for Trump because he's funny. That's it. And he's not that funny, but the way he trolls people is hilarious. It's scary as hell because they're adults, but the way he tweets stuff and people flip out, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, we were talking about the other day when you had the million people out there marching, the million pussy hat thing march, whatever, and what did he tweet? He did because I don't look at it. I still don't know how to use Twitter, but somebody posted, he said something like, oh, it's sunny, something degrees. Oh, what a beautiful day to be out marching, showing your American spirit of pride. Something like that. I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you got a million people out there marching against you, and you just trolling them like that. Like, to me, it's kind of funny. It's scary and it's sick and all of that stuff, but they can pick an entertainer. But but the same thing with Obama. He was charismatic. You watch his speech and he's like, you feel like your uncle is talking to you. He's like, oh, okay, you're going along with it. Now, mind you, in the early parts of these presidencies, I give him a little more room than what I will later. To me, it's always a formula of how many people are you murdering. And when you start showing that you are for the drones and you're for the wars and all that stuff, the less I laugh, right? The less I didn't vote for either one of them, but in the beginnings, I try to give them a chance. You try to give them a chance, like, I'm gonna give you a chance, man. Oh, you mess it up, you're going the wrong way. And when the presidents all keep doing the same thing, killing my cousins all over the planet, it's gonna be a lot less funny in the future. So anyway, let me get down to the bottom. You wonder who wrote the Trump speech, Lynn? The same people who wrote the Obama speech. It's the same group, same think tank who wrote the Bush speech. Same group tank that wrote the Clinton speeches. They all get together, they write the speeches because they got to keep people who don't understand how the world works thinking a certain way, agreeing with some things so they can go rob and steal some minerals from everywhere but the moon. All right, so it's all Hollywood. That's how I see it. Engineering scarcity. Yes, they are. Amen. Absolutely. Exactly what voting is for, is to test our confidence in truth and who and what. Absolutely, totally agreed. That's what Sumerian mythology talks about, alien genesis and life on Earth. Yes, and yeah, if you don't, that's that delicious stuff by, if you hit your head, it helps. I don't know if y'all know that. What's the guy's name? Zachariah Sitchin. Interesting. And the Sumerians are one of the oldest cultures on the planet. So it is important. And I think there's debates about it, right? I think there's a website that's sitchiniswrong.com or something like that. And so a lot of, modern archaeologists don't agree with some of his assessments and some of his translations. But the fact that, those stories kind of align with a lot of the ancient religions stories. I think it's something there. Like for me, I don't think anybody has it all right. I try to listen to what all the commenters are saying, and I think the truth is like a mixture and something of what they're all saying, but more specifically the ones that know. So yeah, in the Sumerian clay tablets, very interesting thing to study and look at. Kelly, what's that? Tell me you aren't a flat earther. Kelly, what am I a flat earther? Okay, let's answer that. Let me drink some coffee before I answer that question. A whole lot of people like, oh Lord, he's a flat earther. I'm a earther. So I have no idea if it's flat. I'm stuck here. I can't get off, girl. They won't let me get in the space shuttle. Never been to space. And so do I think the earth is flat? I don't think, I don't, listen, I'm listen to what I'm saying, because I got friends who are flat earthers. I'm saying I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so, and instead of I know it's not, is because I haven't been around the whole planet, only been around certain portions of it, never been to space, hadn't seen it. I know my government's always lying to me, and your government's always lying to me. And I am an earther, so I don't know if it's flat. So I'm not going to fight with a flat earther. I get a little tickle and giggle sometimes because okay, so let me put it this way too. I think that flat earthers offer something to the conversation. Let me put it that way. I think that everybody has something to teach me. Everybody has something to offer to the conversation. And so I don't try to berate people for what they believe. I don't push them to a corner of crazy, right? Like everybody wants to push somebody in the crazy corner because it's dismissive, right? If you can dismiss somebody, then everything they say can be false, right? Nobody should listen to them. I don't believe in doing that. So I got a lot of friends who are fat earth. Did I say fat earthers? I'm sorry. I was a fat earther too. I used to eat too much. People who knew me back in the day, I was chubby, used to eat all this food, ho-hos, pies, and cakes. Back before I discovered organic food, I was a fat earther. But I've since changed my diet and I lost some weight. So, but no, I don't think that we should have some jokes. Jokes are fun. But I try to keep my jokes to a point where they're not offensive. I don't want to offend anybody, because when you offend people, then they don't tell you what they know. You know, flat earthers do a lot of study into whether or not the moon is hollow. And they got that. I think the moon might be hollow. You know, they uncover a lot of lies that NASA has on the in the photos they release. And if flat earth is what you need to get excited about, because conspiracy theories are sexy to me. I love them. I think they're delicious and I find them interesting and it's fun. That's my escape from the modern craziness. But if flat earth is what you need to get excited and start questioning your government a little more, going out and spending 2 or 3 hours a day going through NASA photos, finding things that are false, a lie, that don't make no sense, go for it. You know, go for it. If Trump is another example, Trump is what you need to get excited about fighting the deep state and fighting the establishment, and we gonna get them. Good for you. Go for it. You know, I'm not gonna berate it. I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't think the deep state that dumb. But and I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't think the deep state is that clueless that they would let a social media troll who was a reality TV host, who actually is probably really intelligent, who seems to be just totally just eviscerating the left, making it look pretty bad. But if that's what you need to get excited, to fight the power, to rage against the machine, to bring down the establishment, to bring an end to lies and secrecy in government, then go for it. Go for it. You know, I don't put anybody down. I don't want to push anyone away from the human conversations, right? We have to get back to that place where we can talk to people who believe something a little different from us and be okay with it. You know, I'm a Christian. I disagree with the vast majority of Christians, right? I don't think we should be murdering people. I don't think the Crusades were good things. I don't think most of us are even Christian. I think we just want to be. None of us live like Christ. None of us have that amount of love, whatever this Christ thing was. But that doesn't detach me from my Muslim brothers. Love them to death too. Don't always agree with them. Doesn't detach me from my atheist brothers who don't believe any of this nonsense, which I'm good with too. You know, I think that we have to grow up. We have to grow up. I think we have to go back to being, you know, what a lot of the wise people who came before us were. They knew how to disagree with people, love them to death, and go eat dinner. You know, none of this stuff was this extreme and retarded. I'm not going to fight with a man or a woman over something I couldn't possibly know. So that's kind of my take on flat Earth. I have a lot of friends who are flat earthers. Not going to try to convince anybody I know anything about it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't have to agree with it. It's a theory. It's a theory because we all have hypotheses, and we all have theories, but the studies can't be completed and, you know, to actually do the test and get the factual data and to be shared across the board with everybody all over the world, which is what we call science, because we don't know the truth of anything. And we know NASA's lying. We know the government's lying. So I can't be for nor against a flat earth theory if we're just at the hypothesis level, right? If we're just at the hypothesis level, is Trump a good president? If we're at the hypothesis level, you know, of experiments, things that haven't played all the way out. I mean, even Obama and Clinton and the rest of them, the things they did, the laws they wrote, the things they supported, a lot of that stuff hadn't played out yet. You know, time determines whether or not these people were good people, whether or not between the cracks they were slipping in stuff that we didn't understand because they couldn't tell us the truth. Like, I kind of do think that too. I think a lot of politicians mean well, and they'll slip in the good stuff where they can, and they know in 10, 15, 20 years, it'll become something better, or it starts a conversation that ends in something better. You know, Haiti crap holes, you know. I think that they drop us little nuggets that end in places, you know, for-profit healthcare. I'm totally against it, but Obama started it, and maybe that will end in universal healthcare. Maybe that kind of started this conversation and going down the road. So I think we can't be extreme, and we can't hate on these people, and we shouldn't. All right, I've said too much on that. Let me get down to the bottom. Don't let them distract us from the reality of their corruption and kleptocracy. Exactly, and that's what they do. They're talented at keeping people distracted because people love Twitter, and so they're always being distracted by what's going on that's not important. The media is now saying Nunes is a Russian spy. More anti-Russians. Listen, I love my Russian people. Russian people are some of the most beautiful people in the world. So I love my Russian people. So I've had no interest in Russian racism. Now, the Russian government, that's a whole different story, right? The Russian 1% and the oligarchs, that's a whole different story. I feel about them the same way I do the American ones. And, you know, so, and the UK ones and the African ones, South African ones. And they're all in that same pile. They're all this guy in the picture. They're all the colonials who show up and want to murder people and take their resources. Let me get down to the bottom. Sitchin has been proven way wrong. Okay, Brother Bajoran, I don't know. I looked at some of it, and, you know, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on that website. I know that people disagree with his translations, and I don't know that anybody alive actually understands how these things translate. And I think that was one of the arguments. It's like English. There are a lot of different types of English. And just between England, America, and other parts of Europe, and even the Philippines where English is spoken, there are different types of English. And so you may know English, but you still may not be able to translate what's written, because if you like pick up, I don't know, is Vibe magazine still a thing? Slang magazine, full of a lot of Ebonics. And somebody from England reads that, and somebody who's alive today reads it, and it's in like this Ebonics language, or just taking, is it a hillbilly magazine? That could be a hillbilly magazine, you know, from the deep South somewhere. People alive today have trouble actually understanding what is being said. I've got friends who come from the Philippines and places that speak English who have no idea, you know, when you put American slang in there, or they listen to like a Shakespearean play and it makes no sense. And we all were alive together at the same time, let alone people who died out 8,000 years ahead of time. So I don't know about the whole, translation Sumerian tile thing. I think that if a lot of the ancient cultures are agreeing with this, some of the things that Sitchin said, then I think it's interesting. And we just don't know. I don't know. Maybe you know. I don't know. So I don't want anyone to think that I think I know. I don't know. I find it interesting. So I'll pay attention to people who say he's wrong and people say he's right, and just, okay, I'll wait till the experiment plays out. To the aliens show up, say, hey, he's real. or United States Air Force folks walk out the UFO. No, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. We had you going for a while, didn't we? Lynn says she thinks the Earth is an octagon. Could be, sister. Hey, I think you should start a society, son. Lynn, I think you should start the Octagon Earther Society. And I won't be a member, but I definitely support you guys. Why should we trust NASA? Why should we trust NASA, Sister Dunnell? I don't have a reason to trust them. You're asking the wrong person. I have no reason to trust them. I don't. I've already seen that they're lying in too many places, and our government doesn't listen to us. And so why would NASA listen to us? So I don't trust them. I just think that people need to take out the secrecy so we can find out who we can trust and who we can't, we get rid of. SpaceX is a private company. Yes, it is. And SpaceX, I think it's like pay to play, right? And there's another private company that's going to do mining on the moon, I think in the next decade or something. It's pay to play, right? It's like Facebook. Facebook is a private company in social media, but they're told what to do by the CIA, right? It's like people are mad at, what's the Facebook founder? Zuckerberg. They're mad at Mark. They're mad at Mark Zuckerberg now because they're going to start banning ads for Bitcoins. I think that came out yesterday, and people are upset. And I'm just sitting there, you're upset at Mark, but the reality is Mark has a company that's run underneath the government that we decided to give all monstrous power to go and tell Facebook what to censor and how to censor it. And so I think SpaceX is the same thing. To go to space, which we are banned from doing, we have to get the government's approval. And they'll only approve us if we do certain things, like we let them keep their secrecy. We put satellites in orbit for them, which is what SpaceX just did with that last satellite, which they suspect disappeared. The only mission that went up, and they didn't actually give a final okay that the satellite made it into orbit, and so they were wondering if it crashed or not, because it was a secret satellite for, I thought it was for the CIA or something like that. So I think that's what it is. I think it's a pay-to-play type deal. All right. I'm going to have to bring this down to, and let me go way down to the bottom. All right. Well, listen, my back hurts. I got to get off of here. Last comment. Base in the consistency of the past phenomena and the probability of such phenomena to occur in the present and near future, I determine the probability of things to happen in the present and near future. Brother Patrick, that was way too deep for me. I have not drank enough coffee, but it sounded deep. You always post deep stuff. So if I understand the bits of that, we have to be consistent with the phenomena that occurred. The phenomena that occurred in the ancient past is perhaps the phenomena that are occurring today. And I always agree with real people before I do any leaders. I always agree with commoners and whistleblowers in terms of they have something to tell me, and I listen. So I listen to everybody, because if you're a commoner, if you got $100 billion in the bank, I think you have some other agendas. But if multiple commoners come together and they start saying you got this NSA thing and they got, spy satellites that listen to everybody, they can turn your microphones on, your cameras, I'm not going to sit back and say you're lying. I'm going to sit back and say, how do I know if my phone does? Right? That's what I'll say. So if somebody says, if the cavemen and all these ancient people say, hey, there was something out there and flying around, been to the moon, whatever, Enoch, been in spaceship, all that stuff, I'm not going to say you're lying. I'm going to say, how did I not get taken? But that's what I used to say. Now I'm like, y'all, can y'all take me, please? Got my thumb up. Aliens, y'all here. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. I'm like Wanda, I am ready to go. I done had it with this planet. Love y'all to death. I hope y'all do well, but I am ready to go. So when the aliens come back, y'all don't leave without me. I listen. Hey, don't leave. Don't look. Hey, don't leave me. Anyway, love y'all to death. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.